What is up, Flavor family? It's Bobby, and today we're gonna rock 2 Whole30 recipes to get you through the 30-day elimination diet challenge. Plus, these recipes are perfect for breakfast meal prepping, and we're gonna use 7 ingredients for both recipes, use 2 completely different ways, and you're gonna love it. So first up, we're gonna make a mini meatball scramble. Lamb meatballs with sweet potatoes and veggies and topped with a soft poached egg, and a veggie frittata with lamb sausage topped with basil oil. So listen, if you love healthy, straight up meal prepping that is monster on flavor, click that subscribe button, my friends. I'm rocking out new videos every Friday, and I want you to be a part of the Flav City community. All right, to get this mini meatball and sweet potato hash rocking, I have 1 pound of ground lamb in front of me. I wanna spice these meatballs up and make them nice and zesty, so I'm gonna reach for my favorite spice of all time, smoked paprika, and add about a teaspoon here. And then go in with a teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of dried oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then reach for some salt and pinch in about a half a teaspoon. All right, time to de-bling and mix this up. Of course, I picked the smallest baby bowl I have in the kitchen, making this extra fun. Yeah. Rawr. Now before I form these balls, I just washed my hands. I'm gonna drizzle a couple teaspoons of olive oil in a cast iron pan over medium heat. And then I'm gonna use my favorite tip for rolling meatballs that my mother-in-law told me. Go ahead and take a little bowl of water here and just dip your fingers in. Everything is the small theme today. It's tiny meal prep day on Bobby's channel. And then get them wet and just grab a little bit of the lamb mixture. And that way when you roll them up into meatballs, it doesn't stick to your bare paws. It just comes out nice and clean like that. And then I'm just gonna make these and flick them right in the pan. And these will cook quickly because they're mini, but I think since they're breakfast, they're better than big old honkin' balls. And once the meatballs hit the pan, let them do their thing for a good 2 minutes before touching them. And here's the beauty of using cast iron, which really you can't get in any other pan. Look what happens when I flip them over. Yeah, dog, look at that golden brown crust. That's because I used a preheated cast iron pan, and it creates another layer of flavor on the meatballs. That crusty exterior is gonna get all over 360 up on that meatball and deliver so much flavor. I'm gonna take them to a clean bowl here. I'm gonna leave behind all that infused fat. We have the olive oil, we have some of the lamb fat that came out of there, and the spices that season the oil. So that is a money tasting oil there. So meatballs on the side, this back over medium heat, and then I'm gonna go straight in with 1 large sweet potato that I diced. And once again, using the cast iron pan will get them nice and caramelized. If you don't have a cast iron pan, I'll put a link to one down below in the description box. I also wanna get some onions up in here. So let me go back here and grab my knife, and then cut slices that are thin, but not too thin, otherwise they're gonna burn. All right, now this would normally be the time in the cooking process where I salt the ingredients. But can someone please tell me why I'm not salting it here? Why I'm gonna wait till later on? Leave the answer in the comments below. So I'm gonna cook these for 12 minutes, then I'll go in with the orange peppers. In the meantime, I can show you my foolproof way to poach eggs perfect every time. I have a wide pan here just below a simmer. You don't want it to boil because that's too rough. You want it to be gentle on these eggs. So what I'm gonna do is take some glass ramekins and just put these in the water. Now, whenever you're poaching eggs, do not crack the egg directly into the water. Always grab an extra ramekin here and then drop it into a ramekin. So that way, if any eggshells break, you can catch them in here before you put them in there, because dipping your paws into hot water sucks. I've done it many times. But see what happens? Immediately, the egg white is setting around itself. So let me hurry up and get 2 more eggs in there. Now I love a soft poached egg. As soon as the egg whites are formed, but that egg yolk is still all runny and juicy, I'm gonna yank it out. There's nothing I hate more than going to brunch, being hungry, waiting in a line for an hour, only to order my eggs Benedict and have that egg, when I cut into it, be hard as a rock. I send back more eggs than anyone, I think, in America, right, Dusty?
It's very embarrassing.
It embarrasses her, but I get embarrassed because I turn into the Incredible Hulk. I'm so darn hungry and that ruin my darn eggs. So don't overcook your eggs. Yank them when they get to your liking. All right, getting back to my hash, my friends, this is a level of crustification that is worth waiting for. Get in that pan. And earlier, if you answered the reason why I'm not salting it is because you won't get that caramelization. Salt brings water out. You are correct. But now I want to reach for a little bit of salt. Put that in there. That way it can bring out a little bit of moisture they can cook through. In the meantime, I'm gonna grab some bell peppers here and get these in. I kind of like the idea of having the bell peppers be a little bit raw and then a little bit cooked through. So what I like to do for the bell peppers is cut the walls off. Then I'm gonna do half of an orange pepper and half of a red pepper. And get the peppers in the pan. And I only wanna cook these for a couple more minutes, and during the last minute of the cooking process, I wanna grab a big handful of spinach here. I wanna give it a rough chop. And then even though the spinach always looks like a big tough guy, it wilts down into a little pile of nothing. So go ahead and add that and give it a mix. And then grab the meatballs and add those to the pan. If you do eat with your eyes first, like they say, that is one sexy looking pile of food. Kill the heat on the pan. Pick up your fresh pile of basil here. And my favorite way to cut this is stack all the leaves on top of each other, then roll it up nice and tight like a cigar, and just make it rain freshness from the heavens right on top of the pan. And as soon as the basil hits the hot pan, it smells like an Italian garden in here. It's unbelievable. One last mix. Now here's the beauty about eggs. You can poach these ahead of time and keep them in the fridge with everything else for 3 days. But when you're ready to serve, just dip them in some boiling water for about 20 seconds. That egg yolk will soften up and get nice and runny, and then serve it. Now when it comes time to serve this guy, you can either go family style and put the eggs directly on top. It makes about 3 servings, or you can do it as meal prep, keep it in the fridge. I'll put all the recipe storage and heating instructions down below. But this pot of deliciousness is in front of me right now. I'm going all caveman on this guy. Let's go straight for the egg yolk. Yeah, baby. Yum. You guys, there is crazy amounts of flavor in there. The lamb meatball is spiced perfectly. The potatoes and the onions have that deep caramelized flavor, and that runny egg yolk. There is no one to blame except myself if it went wrong, but thankfully it worked out. All right, this skillet is done. Let's move on to a frittata with basil oil. All right, to get the veggie and lamb sausage frittata started, I am bringing a small pot of water to a boil. I'm gonna pinch in a nice ½ teaspoon of salt, and then get half of 1 large sweet potato that I diced in there. All right, now unlike for our hash, we do have to cook these first because we're not gonna cook it long enough in the pan for it to cook all the way through. So I'm gonna swap it back here and then bring up our pan for our lamb sausage. I'm gonna drizzle in just a teaspoon of oil. And then we already made the mixture for the lamb sausage earlier. It was a mini meatball. Now it's lamb sausage. So go ahead and just break up about 5 or 6 ounces of the sausage into the pan. Now, if you want, you can use any ground protein for this sausage. You can use turkey, chicken, beef. I just love lamb because I love that fatty, gamey flavor. All right, make sure you wash your hands and let the sausage go for about 5 minutes until it's about halfway cooked. All right, now check out that lamb sausage. It's got nice browning all around the exterior. Once again, that is serious flavor. So I'm gonna go in with half a red onion that I diced, and then pinch in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then crack in some fresh pepper. All right, the onions are gonna cook in that reserved lamb fat once again, getting more flavor in there. And then we're using the same exact ingredients as before, so I wanna quickly chop up some more peppers. Yeah, that's right. When I said fast, I mean fast, because a frittata goes really quickly. And if you're not preheating your oven to 400 degrees, do that right now. All right, so give that a mix up. I'll cook that for about 3 to 4 minutes. All right, now just like the hash, I wanna grab a big handful of baby spinach. And first I'll give it a nice chop before I add it to the pan. And the cool thing about a frittata is you could basically put the kitchen sink in there. Any veggies you have will work, but if you're doing Whole30, just make sure they're Whole30 approved. And it comes out kind of family style, like a big giant egg pancake. It'll stay in the fridge for 3 days, and it's the easiest and most delicious brekkie or weekend brunch ever. All right, things are happening here, baby. Spinach goes in the pan. My timer is telling me that the sweet potatoes are ready. So I'm gonna drain those while the spinach wilts down. All right, make sure you drain most of the water from the sweet potatoes and get that straight in the pan. Then I wanna give one more little pinch of salt because the spinach is bland. So just pinch that over. All right, now a frittata is not a frittata without eggs. So I'm gonna crack 6 cage-free eggs in here. All right, now the key to a money frittata is making the eggs really light and airy. And the only way to do that is put some arm muscle in there and really beat a lot of air into these eggs. So if your arm is not tired after you did this, then you did not do it long enough. Now take the eggs and add them straight to the pan. And then make sure the pan's on medium or medium-low heat now and gently stir everything around. By the way, I'm using a 9-inch non-stick pan. You cannot do this in a cast iron pan. You can't do it in a metal pan because the eggs will stick. If you don't have a good non-stick pan, I'll put a link down below. You definitely want one for eggs. So what I like to do now is just stir it until everything is well combined and the eggs start to set just a little bit. Then I'll chuck the whole thing in the oven. And if you notice the eggs are cooking too fast, just take them off the heat. The key is to just keep on stirring and break up the egg curds. Try to keep them small. If they get really large and chunky, just blitz them up like that and break them. All right, see the consistency of the pan right now? It's still loose, but you have nice chunks of egg curds all around. Now give it a nice smooth finish here. Make sure everything's settled. Then I'm gonna chuck this guy in the oven for 7 minutes. Now the only ingredient we haven't used yet is the basil, and I'm gonna make the most delicious, silky, fresh basil oil to go all up on that frittata's business. So tear off a handful of basil into a pestle and mortar or a wooden bowl. This is actually a wooden pestle and mortar that my mother-in-law sent me from Bulgaria. I use it all the time. Shout out to the BG there. Now, I need some salt in here to not only season it, but to have an abrasive to help break down the basil. So go ahead and pinch in like a 1/4 teaspoon. And then to start, I'm gonna reach for extra, oh actually, you know what? I'm gonna reach for the good extra virgin olive oil. Hold on. This is some of the best extra virgin olive oil I've ever had. So I'll go and drizzle in maybe a couple tablespoons to start. And then use the pestle and just kind of break it up and grind it into a nice paste. If you guys want to try this extra virgin olive oil, it's from the Fresh Pressed Olive Oil Club. I have a promo with a link down below in the description box. It gives you your first bottle for $1, and honestly, it's some of the best oil I've ever tried. All right, let's take a break from the basil oil because it's been 7 minutes exactly, and look at the beauty of this frittata, you guys. All the ingredients are just kind of marbled on top. It's perfectly cooked through. You know it's done when the middle is kind of set. It's just soft but not wet. Now, to get this guy out of the pan, take a rubber spatula and carefully go all the way around here. And once again, this is why you want to be using a nonstick pan. Good. And then grab a clean plate and just gently transfer it over there. Now, let's cut a little piece for me.
What about me?
And then look at the cross section of that frittata. You see all of the ingredients we used. They're nice and marbled and it looks so darn sexy. Then go ahead and scoop some of that basil oil and just put a nice little smear on top. Gorgeous. Some people like to eat cold leftover pizza for breakfast. This is the healthy egg equivalent of that. The eggs are crazy silky and soft. You have that spiced, smoky lamb sausage, and all those veggies are so moist and flavorful. Then that basil oil on top, so freaking bomb. Once again, this is enough for 3 portions, or you can serve it family style. It'll last in the fridge for 3 days, or you can freeze it. That's it, you guys. 2 pretty epic Whole30 breakfast meal prep recipes. They're down below in the description box, along with the macros, heating, and storage instructions. Make sure you sub to my channel. If you want to see 2 more healthy, delicious meal prep for the weeks, check out the videos below me, but I'll see you next week. Until then, #keep on cooking. Peace.